has no clue that we were just live, but that's okay. And then my Twitch audience, poor guys, I had the sound coming out of the wrong one, so I didn't have my soundboard set up correctly. I thought I did, but I didn't. So, that's all right. Like I said, I told you before, if there is not at least one technical difficulty, it is not my stream and it is not my show. So I fulfilled it. So let's hope that takes
I'm
care of that.
sure. I've seen something that says live like 25 and counting. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
I know.
but yeah, right. We were making the album in Sweden, and the guitars, as I said, we were on the good side of a bad beer or the bad side of a good beer, depending on your point of view.
Right.
And the guitarist came over and he said, "Here, dude, you have to check these out." And I said, "What the fuck is this?" And he brought these shots and they were on fire. And he said, "You have to drink." And I said,
Yes.
what the fuck is this? And he goes, Sambuca. And I said, Lord Jesus, you're fucking man. I was like, dude,
Did you drink
anything
it?
that's on fire, you run away. No, I didn't fucking drink it, man. Drinking burning
you would have
shit.
been hurt. You would have been hurting the next day had you. That's some strong
Really?
stuff. I've had it like twice in my life, and that was several years ago. And they start getting you to drink that, and you'll drink just about anything because that is some strong stuff.
Man, well, lucky I didn't do it, man, because yeah. He drank enough of the things, man, and he ended up doing a pole dance. So maybe that's what that was.
That might have been why, give or take. But oh my gosh, that's funny. Don't drink anything that's on fire, right?
Don't drink anything that's on fire or anything that's called code red. Like Christ Almighty,
Well, you got to live on the edge a little bit.
Yeah, I know that, but man, code red. But yeah. I've never drank. I'm sorry, Twitter world or whatever you call or whatever you call this,
whatever
Twit world or whatever it is. I'm not a Neanderthal. I'm just bemused about life most of the time.
Right. Exactly.
And I want to ask loads of stupid questions about, like, because I've never drank Mountain Dew and Code Red. What else?
Well,
what else can we ask?
You need to come to the United States, and then you can definitely introduce you to that. Real quick for our listening audience, this is Coffee and Conversation, and I'm Underground Media. This is my guest, Cory Sloan. Cory actually joins us from Ireland this week, if you couldn't tell by his accent. Cory is currently the Assistant Director of Studies and Swan Language Training Institute based in Dublin. He has been active in the language and teaching profession for the past 16 years. But before that, he was... What were you? Oh, yeah, you were an archaeologist.
I was an archaeologist, folks.
I should know this. His academic interests primarily lie in the histories of history, philosophy, and culture. He attended S.D.U.C, and I'm going to totally botch this, Lampeter. See?
Not bad. Lampeter.
Or University of Wales, which I think is absolutely fascinating because I think the Welsh are absolutely fascinating. Me and my boyfriend can go back and forth on that because he can't understand a single thing that the Welsh say, so it really irritates him. He likes the Welsh, he just can't understand them.
Well, they're very strange people.
There he graduated in ancient history, also attended NUI Maynooth. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You certainly did.
I'm getting a lesson in language today, so it's great. Graduated in anthropology and philosophy, and later at postgraduate level in philosophy. Specifically, the areas of interest included... Can you pronounce that? Because I can't.
Now you have to make Aristotle into an adjective, so it's Aristotelian.
Aristotelian. See, I've never had to make Aristotle into an adjective before. So see, maybe you didn't realize that you were going to be teaching school again today, but evidently you are.
Lord
so it's
Jesus. Aristotelian.
Aristotelian. Because I want to say Aris, but it's Aristotelian. Okay.
Yep.
Ethics and Roman Stoicism. Haha.
Roman Stoicism, folks. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, explain to us, what is Roman Stoicism?
Roman Stoicism. Well, Stoicism as a philosophy was born in Greece. It was born in Athens primarily. It was born from a man That sounds terrible. Born from
It
a
was born
man?
from a
What
man.
the hell? No,
Figuratively, not literally.
yeah. It was born from a guy called or invented, I suppose, but I don't know. Invented the
I like the
Latin
term
word.
born.
Yeah. The word invention comes from invenire in Latin, which means
Ooh.
to be found or discovered. So I don't know. It's born is kind of a bit, but maybe invented might be a little better because it's in its truest word it means found or discovered.
Okay.
So we could say it was kind of in Athens anyway. So Alexander the Great, Alexander the Great, right? You know him?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. All right. So Alexander the Great goes off and he conquers most of the known world to the east, and he basically Hellenizes because the old word for Greece is Hellas, and when you want to make that an adjective, it's Hellenistic. Now the actual ancient name for Greece is Achaia. Homer calls it Achaia. The Achaeans were the Greeks, but Hellas became the more, I suppose you could say, more acceptable word later on. Anyway, long story short, Alexander goes out, he conquers the world, and he makes the whole world that he conquers into Greece. It's the first cosmopolitan empire. Cosmos meaning world in Greek, polis meaning city. Cosmopolitan basically means a world city. So if you can imagine basically an empire, it was a big empire. It went from Greece to Egypt, and everything up to India was all Greek dominated. It was all Arabia, all Babylon, all Iraq, Iran. This was all Greek, and it was called Hellenistic, to use the adjective. And basically, it was all Greek influence and la 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 la. But it was also a different divergence of cultures. Alexander was very good at that. The Romans kind of copied him later on, in many respects. But anyway, long story short, when he died, his empire got broken up between 5 major generals. But the period of this time was a great period of anarchy. And in Athens in particular, you had this anarchy with people getting killed left, right, and center because warlords were coming in and fighting and everything else. And in this maelstrom of anarchy, a man who was an immigrant called Zeno of Cithium, came in and he started to lecture philosophy in the Stoa. And the Stoa in Athens, Stoa means the colonnaded place. It was in the market square, the Agora of Athens. Agora means marketplace, so agoraphobic. You may have heard of that before, agoraphobic. Agoraphobic just means fear of open places. It's fear of the marketplace. But anyway, in the Stoa, it was this colonnaded, shaded area. And he started to lecture philosophy in this place, and it became known as Stoicism after the Stoa. So it's the philosophy of the covered place, and primarily he was concerned with ethics and how to live well, I suppose you could say. Aristotle had the idea earlier on. Aristotle called it EU Zen, Zen meaning life, and I suppose EU means good life, a life lived well. In 147, the Romans conquered Greece, BC, of course. I realize this is like a lecture. I'm just going to fast forward. Yeah. Your question was on Roman Stoicism. Anyway, long story short, Stoics primarily are very fatalistic, but the philosophy is quite strong. It gives you like an inner strength. All right, okay. Accept the things you cannot change and change the things you can is one of the tenets of Stoicism. This worked in Rome, of all places, because the Romans were a military empire ruled by Caesar, who was imperator. Imperare in Latin means to lead. So the imperator was a general. So the emperor, Caesar, everyone's heard of him. This was the leader of the empire. He was a general primarily. So the Romans were a military empire. Stoicism really suited the Romans, really down to their. They were a bit distrustful of philosophy, the Romans, because they didn't like people to think for themselves, because they had an empire to run, and in the army you can't think for yourself; you have to follow orders. But Stoicism kind of suited them. It gave them like an inner or a quiet fortitude. And two of the most famous Roman Stoics that I really love, I suppose is that a word, that I really love to read and I really respect. One was Marcus Tullius Cicero, who I know some of your viewers might have heard of him, Cicero, and also Seneca. And Seneca was my man Seneca in Rome. He was the teacher of the Emperor Nero. A good man, a very good man, Seneca. You know, he's his writings on his letters from a Stoic, his moral letters, available in Penguin Books, my friend. You should go and read it. It's fantastic. Seneca's a great writer, and that's what. Anyway, long story. Yeah. You can see I'm a teacher, right? I'm talking to you like a fucking teacher. Roman Stoicism is primarily that's what it is, and it's kind of championed by those two people. Well, in the early days, the early Principate, the early Empire, late Republic, early Empire. Yeah. So, next question. I can't even hear you anymore, Acacia. You want to turn your sound up? There you go.
Can you hear me now?
I certainly can. Loud and proud. Loud and proud, man. Just like
my mic
church.
Accidentally right? My mic accidentally unmuted, or it unplugged and then it plugged back in and it automatically muted me. So gotta love it. Like I said, technology, yeah, I do great with it, and it doesn't like me sometimes.
That's a great, that's a Greek word as well.
Really?
Techne. Yeah, techne in Greek means skill. And logos means order. So technology was the order of skill. So basically, when the Greeks named something techne logos, techne logoi in the plural,
right.
it meant people who understood the workings of things.
Oh.
When that went to Rome, they turned techne, which means skill, they turned to artis. Artis in Latin means the skill. So what do you think an artist is? Ars artists are people who were skilled. So technology is basically, when you use technology now, you kind of mean, I don't know, electronic equipment or whatever.
Right.
But basically all technology is an easier way to get things done.
Wow. So it makes me wonder, like, everything kind of got botched in the English language anyway. I've found that it's like, if you go to like the roots of things and what they really mean, like most of us, like what it means to us today has very little, if anything. Some of them are pretty the same, but like technology, like that has absolutely, I mean, that was around before for electricity and everything like that. But we talk about technology as though it has to do with something that is electrical, that we tinker with, or whether it's, computers, phones, all of that. Like that's pretty interesting.
It's the convenience of technology. I think that's what kind of makes us mix up the meaning in the truest sense. But again, language is adaptable, and although words don't change per se, the meanings of them change because we change as human beings, right? Every day is different. We're human beings, ing form, continuous action.
Yes. Can you explain that? Because I think that is so fascinating how you explained it, like the meaning of like human and beings, like what it is and we're ever changing. Can you go into that a little bit?
Yeah.
Because you explain it so much better than I can.
Very kind. I think you're very kind. Well, basically a human being, the idea of the ing, basically, on human being. You're not a human bee. You're not a static entity. You're a living, breathing, moving person. You're an ing. You're a continuous action. In English, we say continuous ing, present continuous, whatever it is, to the end. And you are imperfect. Now, imperfect, basically, it's a kind of a paradox about humanity here, because you are a living, breathing entity, and perfectum perfecta in Latin just means finished or completed. And the kind of paradox of your life is you are imperfect, but the moment of your perfection is at the moment of your death. When your physical life is done, this is when you become perfect. It's kind of a paradox, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
But the ing form basically means, that you're a continuous action. And that in itself means that you're a verb and not a noun. Primarily, I'm taking the ing as in the verb sense, not in the gerund sense, right? So this means that basically every day can be different. And that's wonderful, no? Like everything changes. Everything doesn't have to stay the same. And you're a living, breathing, workable, learning, experiential entity. Which is really wonderful. You're not just a human being. Now, I know Kant, the German philosopher Kant, goes into space and time being a priori to existence, and I agree with him there. But what I don't agree with Kant is on his ethics. But that's another story.
Gotcha. See, now it's like with all the spare time that I really don't have, I'm like, I really want to go in. Like, I could go down so many rabbit holes, like just reading all this stuff, like, and just get lost.
Yeah, well, awesome. I was reading your poetry during the week, and I was very impressed with it. I have to say, Casey, thank you for sharing, as it were, guys. You got to check out her poetry. It's fucking tip top, you know. And
thank you.
And that word poet comes from the Greek word poetes, and poetes in Greeks were makers. And for the Greeks, those who make words define reality. And that's exactly what a poet is. A poet is somebody who invents words, and words define reality. So in a sense, I suppose, not only are we all poets in a way because we speak words, right?
Right.
And in words, our thoughts take their form, you might say. But for someone like you, who really is a lovely poet, I think that's a blessed gift, man. And I think fair play to you, because your poetry is really good. You know,
I appreciate that very much.
I enjoy reading it. So yeah,
Thank you. Yeah, the earlier days that were definitely very interesting. And I know you mentioned how, like, I've got a little mixture. Some of it's very heavily, Christian oriented, because that was the way I was raised and whatnot. And it's, for me, and I think any writer will say that any type of writing is an outlet. It gets out what's up here and onto something, so that it's not stuck up here, just because otherwise everything gets stuck up in your head. Like, I can't even imagine, like, some of these writers historically, back in the early days of Greece and Rome and all of that, like, all their stuff that they have actually written down, I'm sure it's only like half of what was going through their head.
Oh yeah,
and that's
because
huge. It's a lot. Like, it's a lot.
They never, Cicero was notorious for his writing, as in his volume of writing, but the maximum, they used to write on parchment. Parchment is a bird, sorry folks for flying low tonight, you know what I mean? So it was parchment, not fucking partridge. But yeah, he would write on that, and he had a famous, his slave was called Tiro. And his slave he was always in his dialogues. Cicero was always saying, Tiro, get me the book, or whatever it is. A book for them was just one piece of partridge. And it's estimated now in the modern thing we've done, it was about 5,000 words. So a book was only about 5,000 words. That's what a book was. Now, not all people could read in the ancient world. We know that.
Right.
So it was a privilege to learn to read. And when you wrote something down, famously, Socrates never liked to write anything down, because he said that when you write something down, when you put pen to paper, or parchment, in this case, not partridge, I can't believe I fucked it up. But anyway, when you put pen to parchment, or stylus to wax tablet, or whatever, he said that you can't argue against it, because you're basically stating your belief. Kind of like putting it in stone almost. Yeah, but that's why it was the privilege of a few to read, Can you believe the first open university, I suppose the first open library in the Western world was gifted to Rome by Julius Caesar?
Really?
Oh, yeah, wow. Caesar was really he was a populist. Julius Caesar we know him as a general, right? But in his social programs, Caesar was a populist, and he knew that basically the majority of people were plebs, were the poor people. I mean, poor people, whereas the minority were in control of Rome were the aristocracy. Right. Okay, so he wanted to he knew where his power base was. It was among the plebs. So he entertained the plebs, and he gave them a lot of new things. And he what he wanted to do was empower the plebs to keep himself in power, keep the people happy, basically.
You keep the people happy, and then you can keep your place of power.
Of course you can. So he opened a library, and he opened reading schools for the people of Rome.
Oh, wow.
Most people don't know that about Julius Caesar. They just see him as a kind of general or whatever.
All I know is, just this general and war and everything like that. So you don't hear about these things.
Yeah, he was a very, very smart man. He used to, there's loads of anecdotes about Julius Caesar, but it's hard to kind of argue with a man who used to own France.
Good
It
point.
was
Good
like, yeah, see
point.
that? You see that? Yeah, that's mine. I own that. Jesus. You know what I mean?
That was
Yeah, you can
mine,
hardly.
give or
Yeah,
take.
exactly. Yeah, and next I'll just fucking put Spain and Portugal there as well. Why not?
Why not?
But he was a mysterious man, a man of many talents.
That is amazing. Yeah, because like you said, typically you think of Julius Caesar, you think of war, you think of,
Yeah.
this person
Yeah.
that, saw over people. Now, you mentioned that, was it Cicero was the one that was with Nero? Is that the one, or was
No,
it the
that's
other one?
Seneca. No, it's Seneca.
Seneca.
Yeah, Seneca.
I
Yeah.
would wonder, like, how it would be to have interacted with Nero, because Nero wasn't exactly the kindest of people, if I remember correctly. At least
Well,
not to Christians.
Well, Christians again, yeah, but what you have to realize is an awful lot of what we know about the Julio-Claudians, the family of Octavianus or Augustus,
Right.
right up to Nero. The Julio-Claudians ended with Nero, begun with Julius
Okay.
Caesar actually, and right up. Nero was the product of inbreeding.
Really? See, I had no idea.
Yeah, his mother Agrippina was the sister of an emperor called Caligula or Gaius. You've heard of Caligula? No,
This
Caligula.
tells you exactly how much I really know about that type of history. I mean, we learned a lot about American history, and it's been years since I've been in school. That's why I think, like, every time we talk, it's very fascinating to me because I learned something new about history that I had no idea. Like, I just started learning more about, like, the European history probably about 3 years ago and whatnot.
From what period? What period? Okay,
Part of it was piqued my interest because I started watching Vikings. I'll be
Oh
honest.
yeah, the Vikings.
So, and then after that, I watched, what is it called? It was where Rome was trying to take over Germany. What did they call them? Barbarians. Yes.
Oh yeah.
So that piqued my interest. So I started gathering little things, bits and pieces here and there, from those, because, like, I had no idea that the barbarians fought back against Rome. No clue.
Yeah, well, it was the last time Arminius in the Teutoburg Forest in 13, correct me if I'm wrong here, folks. I think it was 13 AD. Basically, the famous episode where he slaughtered 3 Roman legions. That's about 15,000 men. And
just a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a wee bit.
It really got to the Emperor Augustus, so much so that he basically, in his will to Tiberius, when he died, Augustus, he basically forbade, I suppose you could say, Tiberius from extending the borders of the empire any further. And Tiberius didn't actually. Tiberius, the second emperor of Rome, was he didn't expand the empire. He actually kept the borders, and that, for an empire like the Romans, that was really, really upsetting because they were a military empire. Normally, when you have so many troops, basically keeping the borders, or the Moenia Mundi in Latin, the Romans called their empire the walls of the world, the Moenia Mundi, inside those walls was the empire, outside was barbarism, and they called them barbarians or barbarism because of how they spoke. To the Romans, people sounded like bar, and that's what they call them, barbarians, right? Now, that actually came from Greece, but anyway, because they thought the Persians went bar, so they called them barbarians. The Romans copied the Greeks, right? But they
seem to do that a lot. I get that drift that the Romans tend to copy the Greeks a lot, or borrow a lot of stuff from the Greeks.
Greece for the Romans was basically the center of the world. It was the center of education in the world. And they very much, because they were military based, they would look at the military, I suppose, successes of Alexander the Great, of the Spartans, of the hoplite phalanx, etc. And they emulated that. And not only that, anyway, I mean, a lot of Italy in the 5th century BC was colonized by the Greeks.
Okay.
The famous Agathocles was he was a king of Sicily, and his teacher was Plato. So
Really?
you had an awful lot of Greek influence in Italy, and they emulated them. Yeah, but anyway, I mean, Tiberius didn't expand the empire. People are getting very upset because you need to keep the troops happy, war, military conquest, and he was loathed for it. But all he was doing was basically following the wishes of Augustus, and because of the Teutoburg Forest, and because of Arminius and the barbarians that you spoke about in that TV show. That's the reason why Tiberius himself wasn't really liked, because he didn't really expand the empire. And later on, his great grandson, Nero, was actually derided as well, because he was kind of stigmatized with that. Now, granted, when he came to power, Nero, after Claudius, the Emperor Claudius, he was already fucking troubled, because his mother was a sister of Caligula. He was having an incestuous, he was having an incestuous affair with his mother as well. But what the hell, But an awful lot of what we know, well, look, you know what I mean? Keep it in the family, you know what I mean? Like, these were
literally.
Oh yeah. These were Julio-Claudians. These were the ruling power. I mean, the Emperor Augustus famously tried to manage, a bit like Queen Victoria did in 18th century or 19th century England. She tried to basically get all her children married off to the kings and princes of Europe. So there would be kind of a universal or European hegemony with her in the middle, and basically everything would be ruled by her family. The Emperor Augustus saw the same thing. He that's what he tried to do. It didn't really help that his wife Livia was a fucking murdering bitch, and she fucking went bananas on all his relatives and killed them off to keep Tiberius in power. You know what I mean? But I
guess that would be a good description then, if she like killed everybody off. So
there's a famous story about Nero and his Praetorian Guard, the head of his Praetorian Guard. Praetorian Guard was the bodyguard of Caesar, and it was basically like an elite corps, like your, I don't know what, Navy SEALs or something.
Yeah,
you might say. But they had a camp, they had a castle in Rome right next to the royal palace. And if you as Caesar could buy the loyalty of the Praetorians, you became Caesar. The Emperor Claudius became the Emperor Claudius after the assassination of Caligula, due to the Praetorians, right? So there's a famous story about the head of the Praetorian Guard was a guy called Tigellinus. And Nero wasn't getting on with his mother, and in fact, he just wanted his mother out of the way, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
So she liked to party. She was a party girl, Now, granted, she was the sister of Caligula, who was a fucking nut job. She was a nut job, man. She was a grade A fucking nut job, right? Her name was Agrippina. And anyway, long story short, Nero set her up on a pleasure boat, basically, like where all the slaves, you can imagine decadence and everything else. And he says, Ma, go out there and have yourself a fucking great night on a Friday night or Saturday night. Enjoy yourself, Ma. It's all there for you. So she goes off, and he gives express wishes to Tigellinus, sort me Ma out, if you know what I mean, right? So this boat was special. It was a collapsible boat. It was gonna go out in the middle of the Adria, the middle of the bay of and basically water comes in the whole boat, and everyone drowns. So Nero's back in Rome, and he's having a party. He's having a great time, and Tigellinus comes up, and he's soaking wet, and he goes, Caesar, kind of a word, Caesar. And Nero goes, he says to the, I got good news and bad news. And Nero goes, for fuck's sake, what is it? And he goes, well, give me the bad news. And he goes, well, the boat collapsed and your mother survived. And Nero goes, fucking hell, shit, And he goes, what's the good news? And he goes, I killed her when she came on shore, and here's her head. And Caesar,
but she's dead now, so it's
yeah, like that. So this was, but by the way, this was Nero Caesar, who became master of the world at 19. At 19, he's master of the world. Seneca, being his teacher, kept him basically in check for the first kind of 5 or 6 years. And after that, basically he suffered the same, it's argued, but he suffered the same as the Emperor Caligula. He had a nervous breakdown, and when he came out of that, he just went bananas. Bananas. Now, an awful lot of what we know as well by the Roman writer Suetonius wrote a famous book that everyone can get on Amazon, I think. It's called The 12 Caesars, or if you don't want to buy the copy, you can Google it. It's a great book. Suetonius' 12 Caesars is a great book. But in this book, he describes the lives of the first 12 Caesars. And he describes a lot about Nero and everything else. But Suetonius was writing when the Flavians came in, who were the next dynasty after the Julio-Claudians. The Flavians were 3 emperors: Vespasian, Titus, Tito, and Domitius. And they built the Colosseum. So Colosseum you see today was called the Flavian Theatre. They built it on the golden house of Nero. But basically what they had to do was they had to illegitimize the power before them. So we're so great. We're the Flavians. We're the new boys in town, the new bosses. And we're here because they were so bad and we're so great. So there's a bit of propaganda against Nero. But even Tacitus, another writer of the early Roman period, the early Principate, the early Roman Empire, describes Nero as a fucking nut job. And you've heard about the kind of Antichrist and everything else, He didn't like Christians, but then, in a way, not many people like Christians.
Right. Yeah. And it's funny because growing up, I didn't really hear much about, I wasn't taught much about the Crusades and stuff like that. And now that I'm older and I'm looking back at it and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely insane. How can you say one is better than the other when you're doing the exact same thing that the other's doing?
Well, this is it. I mean, even the Crusades, I mean, you mentioned there, I mean, there was 4 Crusades, and basically they were the first crusade, as an example. They went down to Constantinople, and they arrived before the gates, and they attacked Constantinople. They attacked Constantinople.
Yeah.
They were just thugs. They were just thuggery, and I mean, you can't make this up. They were all Christians, knights, kings, lords, barons, all going down to protect the Holy Land, Jerusalem, from the Saracen.
Right.
Excuse me. And basically, when faced with the idea of, hang on a second, and this actually, you can't make this up, right?
Right.
A couple of crusaders went to the Pope, and they said, but hang on a second, if we go down to the Holy Land and you're telling us to slay the Saracen, doesn't Jesus say, "Thou shalt not kill"? And the Pope said, "Ah, yes, true," but he said, "Thou shalt not kill other Christians." They went, "Oh, fucking right, okay, cool." And off they went. You can't make that up, Acacia. You can't make that shit up. What? And they bought it. Man.
It even says in the 10 Commandments, "Thou shalt not kill." Let alone, Christ saying it. But
reinterpretation, Acacia.
Here's a question for you. Now, since we're on the whole subject of, that, do you know the history of how the Pope even came about to be the position of the Pope?
Well, it's interesting that you asked that, because yes, I do.
Ooh, see,
yes, I do.
I have always wondered this, so it's it interests me, because I'm like, well, how did we get to? Because there's nothing that I can see, at least from the Bible that I've read, that it says anywhere that there should be a position of a Pope. Now, people can disagree with me, agree with me, whatever. So I've always been curious, how did that even come about?
Well, this was okay. So we go back to the fall of the Roman Empire. Well, the empire in the West, basically. So what happened was in the 4th century AD, the walls of the world were coming down. What do you mean by that? Well, I told you before about the Moenia Mundi, the way that the Romans called their empire. The border of their empire was the walls of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Rome was a military empire. Caesar's rule was absolute. Caesar was a general, And he was a general because he commanded the legions who protected the borders of Rome. In the 4th century AD, you had the beginning of the break. I know Constantine split the empire in half.
Right.
He went to Constantinopolis, the city, polis again, the city of Constantine, and established Constantinople, later Istanbul. This was the headquarters of the Western Empire. Okay, he became a Christian in 315, well, or 321. You can Maruvian
Somewhere
Bridge
around there.
later on. Yeah,
300 something.
Yeah. It was after the Battle of Manuvian Bridge, so it was around. Yeah, I think that was 315. So I think it was pretty much 321 when he became a Christian. But only on his death, by the way. He was a nasty piece of work. And just before he died, he was baptized, became a Christian because he wasn't going to go to hell as a sinner, as it were. But anyway, very long story short. So the walls of the world are coming down. Barbarians are invading all the empire. The empires were broken. Rome didn't have the troops. So what happened was you had a position of Caesar, who no longer could command legions of troops. He was no longer a general. So with the walls of the world coming down, barbarians invading, chaos. St. Augustine writes about this in the City of God on the De Civitate Dei in his book, The City of God. He writes about this. The first chapter is called, Why Was the City of Rome Conquered by Barbarians? You know what I mean? And he writes, and the idea is this, is that barbarians are coming in. Caesar's no longer a general because he's no military power, you could say. So he thinks, hang on. If I have no longer any military power, I'm a Christian. Caesar, I'm a Christian, because the Christians now are massive all over the Roman Empire.
Right.
All right. Caesar becomes Christian. He thinks, okay, well, look, what I'm going to do is, in Christianity, we have a lot of Christians here. He goes, basically, the idea in Christianity, Jesus says, on earth is in heaven. He talks about God the Father. We know all the patriarchal gods are in the sky. Matriarchal religions are in the earth. Okay, Mother Earth, Father Sky. Okay, all right. So Caesar goes, basically, right, I'm no longer Caesar. I'm going to call myself the Father, Il Papa. Il Papa is basically the idea of I'm the Father on earth after the Father in the sky. And what I am actually now is I'm the protector of the idea of Rome. Now, what does that actually mean? The protector of the idea of Rome? Well, it means I'm just changing my title from Caesar to Pope to the Father, right? So all of those, but all of the structure, the hierarchical structure of the Roman Empire remains. But instead of having generals, you have bishops, right? Instead of having commanders, you now have priests. And
so
what are they?
So I was going to say, so instead of, because he has no legal power as far as like the government's concerned, he switches it essentially to the religious power.
And that leads us on to another thing about the word religion. So the word religion, the Latin root of that word is actually religare. And religare in Latin means to join together for a common good. So for instance, the idea of like this, if a ship is coming into the harbor, right? Beside the harbor, right? So the rope, when you throw the rope from the ship to join the ship to the land, you know, the rope they throw, they join, you know, that. This is religare. This is to join. Religare means to join together for a common good, right? So he says this in Rome. The Pope says this. He says, if I no longer have troops to defend the idea of Rome, how can I bring, or religare, how can I join together the idea of Rome? I'll do it through this idea, and the idea is called religion. And the idea is, and that's what we have the word religion. It comes from the idea of religare in Latin, to join together for a common good. And for instance, this is why if you go to a football stadium, all the fans chanting their team to win, this is a religion in its strictest sense of the word. This is actually religion, because people have been brought together in the football stadium, all together hoping for a common good, which is their team will win. So this is in the strictest sense of the word. Or the word, sorry, this is what religion means. And that's where you got the word religion. And that's why he became the Pope.
Universal Discourse, which you actually met her when we were on Zoom the other day, but she was just saying that Rome was sacked by Visigoths and
Oh, the
reinvented,
Visigoths, yeah.
yeah,
The
and
Visigoths, yeah.
reinvented itself as a world church from standards.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I can't read it. From standards to shepherd crooks, literally. Like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah,
That's
basically,
exactly it.
Yeah, the idea of the
Crazy.
church in itself, the idea of the church, basilica was the old Roman courtroom. And the Greek word for those who would gather in the courtroom to listen to the rule of law or listen to the judgment of the law, in Greek, this gathering was called ecclesia. That kind of might sound like...
Go back to Ecclesiastes.
This is what the word means. Yeah, those who are gathered together. Yeah. So the idea even of anything that is ecclesiastical being church related just means those who are gathered together in religion for a common idea of a common good. And this is where you get it. And because basilica was the place where they joined the courtroom, this is where the laws of Rome are read. Cathedral, the word cathedral, cathedra in Latin means throne. So that's why a cathedral is where the bishop sits, the higher power sits, rather than a church. And the church is just ecclesiastical. So this is, all of this language is based. All this language is based. You know, I tell my students all the time, if you know a little bit of Latin, you know a lot of English, you know. But what I find really interesting, as you were saying earlier on, Casey, is basically, you know, I'm fascinated by this, by the way. You know, the etymology, in the etymology of words, you know, the idea that the history of the language that we speak, if you were to just go into the words that you speak, man, you know, what an interesting story, you know. I am a nerd. Like I love the history of words, and I love getting down to the root, to what they really mean, because words are us, and we invented this language, you know. We invented language as humans, you know. I know people will say animals have language, but I'm not fucking Dr. Dolittle, so.
You're not? Oh man.
The ironically named Dr. Dolittle, he could fucking do more than my doctor, that's for sure.
Right.
So Dr. Do a lot, right? Dr. Do a lot. Maybe it's been.
Hold on one second. Let me see something here. Somebody was doing something real quick and it wasn't working, and I don't know why. Oh, it is working. Okay, never mind. I have these little things that are called sound alerts. And
sound alerts. Okay.
They're sound alerts. So here, I'll show you. Okay. Or I'll let you hear it. Oh, sorry. It's making me cool myself down on my own sound alerts. That's great. It's like there's 14 seconds. What it is on Twitch, we have little things like that you get for being active in chat, and they're like channel points. So you could choose how you redeem those channel points. One that I do is sound alerts. So we've got one that's SpongeBob that says a few moments later in the voice literally from the cartoon SpongeBob. There's another one that says, "Please God, no," from The Office. Let me see if this one works. And it's so low you can't even hear it.
Okay, all right.
On here though. I love these things, but I don't know why they're not playing, but whatever. It supposedly played, so we're gonna leave it at that. I don't know. Like I said, you know, technical difficulties on a stream like mine never fails. I'm
actually enjoying this. I'm enjoying this. We haven't done this before. I hope your viewers or those people ain't bored shitless by me ranting on or yakking on here, man. You know, but it's, thank you for having me on. I'm enjoying this, man.
Well, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I love it
a lot. I think it's interesting because you have to delete and reinstall the sound alerts. That's fine. I can do that. Thankfully, one of my friends is helping me here, and I don't know if this is going to work or not, but we will see.
You say that you like the Vikings.
I love the Vikings.
Everybody likes the Vikings, you know. I mean, I'm from Ireland here, so the Vikings were basically really important in Ireland, you know. And I used to live in Sweden, and I knew a lot of guys who look like Vikings. I like the Vikings because I really like hard rock and heavy metal. And for me,
Yes.
if I was alive in those Viking days, man, it'd be like being at a fucking heavy metal concert. Everyone is like long hair, beards, and tattoos, you know.
Right,
And,
exactly.
And they're all, you know, kind of crazy ass bastards. But they had a cool thing that the Vikings, the Vikings used to have a saying, and I'm going to butcher it in Swedish, but anyway, I'll say it. It's called "Vi livet liv under the hamri." So we live our lives under the hammer. You know, and I always thought that was kind of kick-ass. You know, I know the Christians have the cross and everything else, but I always like the way the fucking Vikings have a hammer.
Yes. Yep.
If anything says more like or says like a statement of intent, you know, it's a hammer.
Right.
It's a hammer. You know? It's like, okay, you know. So party's kind of over, or maybe party's going to begin. I don't know, but the fact that I always liked that idea though about these guys, you know, and I always liked the idea that, you know, when they were on those long ships,
right,
and they were basically rowing across the sea. They were just rowing across the sea, you know. And
can you imagine how tiring that would be, though?
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah. Exactly.
All you're doing is just you're rowing from one place to another place to another place. Exactly. And that's all you're doing. That's all you're doing.
That's all you're doing. And they didn't really know what was out there, to be honest with you. So to say, like the first Viking raid in English history is a very famous raid. I say a Viking raid because that's what it was. The Vikings called it a battle, but it wasn't a battle because it was in their language. It was Slået om Lindisfarne 793. The Battle of Lindisfarne, 793. And what it was it was a raid on a monastery. In the Viking show, they go there. You know, the first one where they go, right? Yeah, and so with that guy, so when Ragnar Lothbrok,
right,
and he goes with his brother Rollo, you know,
right.
There's no bad way. Yeah, that's the truth, man. I hear you. Truth. The Vikings, when he was with his brother was really interesting because, in fact, when they were, and I think they do this in the Viking show as well, when they go to France, so they were attacking France, the Vikings, and the king of France basically gave the Northmen their own kingdom, and they were called Norsemen. In fact, in English history, it's written, "God save us from the wrath of the Northmen." Right, these guys, these coming down. So they went to France. The king of France gave the Vikings this, basically the northern half of France, and he said, if you don't come any further, stop raiding into France, you can have your own kingdom. The Vikings were loving this. Go, Jesus, this is easy, man.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. And the first king, or the first lord, or Jarl is what they would say, but we would say Earl. Lord of that land of Normandy, of the land of the Northmen, was Rollo. And his epithet was very interesting. His epithet was Rollo, and in the old tongue they would say Rollo Gonger. Gonger in old language in the north meant walker. Rollo the walker. So why would they call him the walker? It's because they said he was so big that when he was on a horse, it looked like his legs were, he would walk with the horse, you know. Instead of riding the horses, he would just walk with the horses. He was that tall. Because the average height of the European Latinized male, by and large, in those days, was, we have this on the archaeological record. Well, in Ireland anyway, I'm gonna assume that's basically for France because they were Latinized, as in Romanized. Was about, Caesar, for instance, was about 5. I don't know would you say about 5 foot? He was about 5'6", 5'8", or something. He was an average. They were pretty small. The average height of the Vikings, I know because as an archaeologist, I used to dig up Vikings. They were about.
Did you really?
6, yeah, seriously, yeah. They were about fucking 6'4", 6'5".
Wow.
We dug up a village near here. And it was from...
They're in Ireland?
Yeah, just down the road from here. we didn't think the Vikings actually went this far into Kildare, where I'm from.
Right.
And what we found out, we were digging a village. It was primarily an old Irish medieval village. Well, I say early medieval period. And what we found was, we found three bodies in graves. The average height again was about 5'6", you know, 5'6".
Right.
We found 3 bodies that were 6'4".
Oh wow.
6'4", and the arm bones were bent. The fucking arm bones were bent. Now, why would we have 3 bodies 6'4", and why would the arm bones been bent? Well, they were 6'4". We knew these were Vikings. These were Vikings who came down from Dublin. They came down the river and they married into the Irish. They brought Irish wives and they married into this village at the time. Right? But why do you think their arm bones were bent? Why do you think there was a bend in the arm bones? Any idea?
Universal discourse, you have any idea? Because she knows, she was even saying their longships were built to scale and whatnot.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
She said because the long arms didn't fit.
Oh yeah. No. It wasn't like the Crusader guy in Dublin where they had to break his arms and legs to put him in the coffin. No. This no, their arms were a bit bigger. Their bones were bent like this. It's because their muscles were so big from holding swords that you had bigger muscles, and the muscles were pulling on the bone, and they actually shaped the bone. Yeah, they actually shaped the bone. So you had these 3 huge guys that were actually in this village of Irish people who were by and large pretty small, with bigger arm bones. I mean, the fucking size of the bones was unbelievable.
Right.
Yeah. Man, we found some cool stuff there though. We found a plague pit, which is just like an orgy of disease. Where they just throw all the bodies, and all the bodies where bones were all together. And we also found a pit of skulls. Now, why do you think they had a pit of skulls? Any of your viewers or out there maybe have an idea?
Yudi, you have any ideas on this one? Anybody else have any ideas? Because see, this part of history and stuff, I am completely clueless about, and I am fascinating. And then she said plague pits and skull pits.
Yeah, that's it. So, they had a plague pit. We found that. That was obviously from the Black Death, you know. They would just get bodies and just throw them in there. We actually found in the plague pit, at the side, we found this little hole in the side of the wall of the plague pit, you know, and it was rat skeletons where the rats had gotten in to eat the dead, and they died then, you know. We also found osteopathic lipping. We found, loads of diseases, and I found out a lot of stuff like syphilis and everything else. Fucking syphilis, man, Jesus. They used to bury the syphilis victims face down, because syphilis, when you're dead, it actually eats your bone, your facial cavity in the 3rd stage, and just basically like leprosy rot, it eats your bone. So you'd end up with just no facial cavity. It just eats the bone even after you're dead. So they used to bury them face down so they wouldn't have to look at this horrible thing, you know.
Right.
But the pit of skulls was really interesting, because what was happening was we found that only heads, but what's happening is that people who were buried in a particular part of the graveyard, nice parts of the graveyard, what happened was you could pay people to basically, if you were going to die and you said, oh, I want to be buried over there by the tree, well, Johnny's there, you know. You can say, well, like, if I give you a bit of extra cash, I want you to bury me there. Or the family would say it to the whoever died. And what the guy would do, he would dig up John, basically throw John out of the grave and put you there. And what they were doing was, when they were picking the bodies up, the head would fall off, because the head kind of weighs.
So the head would just stay there.
Yeah, the head would just, because the backbone take them up. So they would just put the pit of heads. They would just put all these skulls in a pit. We just found these, like, there was no mandibles, just this kind of thing, you know. Yeah. Basically that. See you later, John. Bad luck, son.
Right.
Yeah. yeah.
Somebody else was saying Oxmanstown, Dublin.
Oxman, can you spell it? Oh, Oxmanstown, Dublin. Yeah. Okay, all right.
I figured you would probably know what that meant. I have no idea because I have no idea about Ireland very much. So
a township of Dublin, I would imagine. Okay. I know that one of the, I mean, Ireland is famous, of course, for Vikings, but one of the towns next to Dublin, a town, I suppose a separate town now, was a town land back then. By and large, it was called, the Vikings named it. It's very sweet. But Guinness, everyone knows Guinness, right? So Guinness.
I know the beer.
The beer, right? Arthur Guinness. Arthur Guinness is from there. So this is where, and you can still go to his house. He's not there anymore, but you can still go to Arthur Guinness's house. You know what I mean?
Right.
But this town is cool. This is a direct connect to the Vikings.
Oh, okay.
And it's called Leixlip now. But this is famous because the River Liffey that goes through Dublin. The old Norse word for salmon was lax. In fact, they still in Scandinavia they still call salmon lax.
Oh wow!
And to jump, the idea to jump. So when salmon are coming in to spawn, they jump. And there's a what do you call that, like a middle race? I don't know what you call it. It's a place where they have to jump fucking cliff. I don't know what you call it on the river. A thing in the river, they have to jump up the river anyway.
Right.
And the old word, of course, to jump was leap. To leap. We have the English word to leap.
Right.
So lax leap, where the salmon jump.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
And they formed this town, and now it's called Leixlip. And I just think that's fucking awesome, because when you go through there, you're actually going back to where the fucking Vikings were, because they were the ones who named it.
Now,
isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? You're actually there where they were. You're like, fuck, man, this is a Viking town, man. I'm in a fucking Viking town, which is cool.
That is really, really cool. That is really cool. Like, I never would have, like, here in the US, like, I don't know. We're just dumb in a lot of ways. Not all of us are dumb, but some of us are dumb. UD, is this? Yeah, I'm going to mess that up if I try to pronounce that, UD. But she was saying like the salmon run in America, where the fish leap.
Oh yeah, okay.
The salmon here in America, like in Alaska and other places.
Okay.
The salmon run, and you'll just see them just leaping out of the.
Yeah.
Out. It's really cool.
Yeah. If, by the way, if you haven't, I recommend everyone to drink this. You should drink this cider.
Palmer. I don't even know if we can get it in the US.
Do you get it? Sometimes it's called Magners. But if you like cider,
I'll have to check it out.
It's very good. It's very good. This is the Irish one, and the English.
Well, the Irish is always better.
Absolutely, I know the English will say Strongbow, but Bulmers is better.
Or I've got to see if one of these days I can send you some Mountain Dew from here in the US. That way you can actually try it. But I won't do the code red because
Well, yeah, I mean, Jesus. Yeah, well, maybe
the code red scares you.
Yeah, I'd be afraid if I have code fucking red, man. I'd be like, geez, what's going to happen here?
Right.
Yeah, you should actually, and give me a fucking call when you come to Dublin to have, because you know what? The Porterhouse is only 25 meters from my school.
Really?
So yeah, we're always in the Porterhouse. So you're more than welcome to come and just give me a shout, and we'll have great. The Porterhouse actually, they do some nice ciders. More of they don't do the like Bulmers. Well, they do Bulmers, but they actually make their own beer as well. They do a beautiful oyster stout.
Oyster?
Yeah, oyster stout. It's a bit like their own version of Guinness, but they have they make it with oysters, so it doesn't. If you drink Guinness is a lovely taste,
right?
But it has the oysters give it a little sweet kind of back here. It gives it a real sweet little,
right,
like that,
right.
They also have a great beer called Brain Blaster, but you don't really want to have that.
Right.
Yeah, you should come across. Welcome to
one of these days.
Yeah,
We'll have to
It'd be
across. It'll
wonderful
be a lot of
to
fun.
see you in
That is
Dublin.
one place I have always wanted to visit was Ireland. Growing up, my dad was a preacher, and he went to actually Sunset School of Preaching down in Texas. But she said that I look like a proper red-haired Viking goddess today. That's funny. Thank you, Universal. I appreciate that. But one of his good friends that he went to seminary school with they were from Ireland. And so him and his family, and they had 2 kids that were right around our ages. I think they were, I don't know, a couple years older than me, because I was the youngest of 4 kids. So they were closer to my older brothers and sisters' ages. But I remember them coming over, and they lived in Canada for a little bit and whatnot. But I think they're back over in Ireland now. But to be honest with you, I wanted to say that they were from Northern Ireland. And
Okay.
but I don't remember off the top of my head. But I just remember like growing up with them and whatnot. One, I love the accent. Always love the accent. And 2, I love the greenery. Like I love how the sites over there are beautiful. And I know you sent me a couple of pictures from over there that you took, and it's just like gorgeous. It's just a lot of it is just untouched. There's a lot of history there that I like. Like here in America, you can find that some. You find a lot of beautiful things over here, but I like the history, the untouched history by, our technology and our cities and stuff like that. Like I'm sure you have that over there too, but I love the greenery and all that. And it's small and cool. But
there's we're in Ireland, we're very lucky that Irish people are a bit like hobbits.
Which is even better.
Yeah, can you imagine if they really made like Lord of the Rings? I often wondered, who would the Irish be? Would they be elves or hobbits? We'd be shitty elves, man. We'd be like, fuck.
You definitely would be the hobbits. You'd definitely
We'd be hobbits, man. We would, because when Tolkien writes the hobbits, they enjoy gardening, everything that grows, pipeweed and ale. I mean, this is us.
The ale, yes.
Now, and honest to God, one of the things that I love about Ireland, and I know this because I travel around the world, and I love about it is we love fucking stories, man. I love the fact in Ireland, honest to God, like if you come along, like, you'll sit in a bar or you just sit anywhere. People will come and talk to you. They just want to know who you are, where you're from. And they love talking about Ireland.
Right.
They love telling you about stuff. They just love it, like. And I think that's really good. And we don't do it in like an obnoxious way,
right,
at all. But we just love chatting and finding out where you're from.
Right.
And I have to say this: I love talking to Americans when they come to Ireland. I love bumping into Americans on a Friday night in a bar, and I'm half fucking jarred, and it's just, oh, I'm from America. Oh, are you? Oh, fucking nice one. Here we go, and we have these wonderful conversations about family and they're over visiting and everything else. And it's
I
wonderful.
Actually have a question from our viewing audience. Any opinion on the colonialization of language in Ireland? Like if we spoke Irish again, would we connect better with the landscape around us?
That's a really interesting question. I think in the new Ireland, if I could say that, there was a group called the Young Islanders in the 1800s. And the idea of the revitalization of the Irish language was to connect us to our proverbial roots. It was a nationalist movement. I think I was told in school, a country that doesn't have its own language is not a country. So my Irish teacher, when I was in school, I had to learn Irish, but it was very much the Irish of poets and history.
Now, is Irish different from Celtic?
Well, there was no Celtic language. I mean, yeah. Something like, I'll tell you a story now, dude. Yeah. It's cool. Simon, it's actually really cool that you have that St. Bridget's Cross, man. That St. Bridget's Cross is from Kildare, where I'm from.
Oh, wow.
Where Simon, where are you from? Are you? where are you from, Simon? You should write in there. You know.
Yeah. Write in chat and let me know, and I'll post it up.
But to get back to the point about the colonialization of language, I think that I don't know. Actually, I think it's gone too far. To be honest with you, I think that it was bred out of us, and save for a small minority in the very West, in the Gaeltacht, where they speak Irish as a lingua franca. I mean, they speak it every day.
Right.
It's not really spoken by the majority of people. Now, I know a lot of people. Oh, all right, you're in Naas.
Johnstown.
Yeah, well, he's just up the road from me then. So you know where you're from. Simon's from Naas-na-Rí. He's from the crossroads of the Kings. It's not
okay.
cool. It's not cool. You know what I mean?
That is pretty sweet. That is really cool.
But yes, Simon, I think it's gone too far. I actually don't think that we'll ever have an Irish language speaking nation. I just think it's gone too far. And the reason is because the government are still reluctant to go. I mean, they have Irish as the national language in the constitution, but everything is through English. If they were really serious, they put it into mass media, for instance. I know we have Tina G, Simon, but you know, that's a token gesture, I think, by and large. We'd have English resigned to foreign languages, and we'd have Gael schools and everything else coming in.
Right. Gaelic, that's what I was thinking, not Celtic.
Yeah,
Gaelic.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
You know what I mean?
Celtic language. That's not a language. You're right. It was Gaelic. That's what I was thinking of. Anyway, sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Leave it to me. I'm not even drinking and I get confused. What is wrong with me? No,
Simon, are you having a drink, Simon? If you are,
almost done with my code red. Ha.
I should get another one of these bad boys. Simon, if
you're
you know what time it is for these, Simon. If you're not having one, I don't know if you drink Bournemouth, but Simon, is the Johnstown Inn still there? I used to drink in the Johnstown Inn an awful lot. Is it still open? It's a gastropub now, right? Oh, really? Simon's having a cup of tea.
Oh, okay. See, I'm learning. I told you that this is kind of like a teaching session too, because we're all learning. I know UD said that she was bringing some more people along, and
that's cool.
Whatnot, because she has a lot of people from across the pond in the UK area that watch too. That's one of the reasons I decided to do these shows on like one Saturday a month. I do my coffee and conversation with somebody that's either from, like Ireland yourself or the UK. That way. Now, is Ireland a part of the UK? Or is that
the North?
Okay,
is, yeah.
That's what I thought. But because Ireland is just Ireland. Ireland is cool. but so then this way, other people can join. And I've got the next one. I really, really, really want to have you meet Madsy. I think I mentioned Madsy to you before. He's another streamer, but he's the one that, was talking about his daughter having a patty. A patty.
What's a patty?
A temper tantrum.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Oh, yeah, sorry. The English lad, right? The English lad, yeah.
Yes, the one from England.
Yeah. Here, that's Simon.
Want to have you guys on because you guys would be hilarious.
Apparently, Simon, when you have a temper tantrum, yeah, I know. I know, Simon. I was going to say, Simon, apparently, if you have a temper tantrum in England, it's called having a paddy. Can you fucking believe that, Pat? Can you believe that, Simon? A fucking paddy. Can you believe that? Lord Jesus. Like,
no, I think you guys would be great together because you both have a great sense of humor. And then being able to know like the different words, that you guys call the English and the English call you and, learning what they actually mean would be great. It'd be fun.
But I don't know. I might have to get. Yeah, I never heard of it either, Simon. I didn't even know that, man. I didn't even know that was called a fucking paddy. I don't know where you got that from, to be honest.
I have no idea. But evidently over here, it's evidently like slang for an Irish paddy. And
yeah, well, I know where that's from. I know the idea.
Right, but it means temper tantrum.
But I never heard like
English.
a temper. Simon, have you heard that before? I haven't heard that. Like, I never heard that. Temper.
Yeah, he
yeah,
said
I
he's
never heard of
that
Simon. Like,
either.
yeah, like I never fucking temper tantrum, but you know what they're like.
Because I have Simon joining us from
oh
YouTube,
man,
but yeah,
yeah, I like that. Oh, we're all wankers now. No. Black and tantrum. Yeah. That's a good one, Simon. I like that one. Yeah. Black and tantrum, man. I like that. Yeah. or as Universal Discourse said, wankers, right?
yes, winkers.
Right. Just stopping a wanker, you know. I'm going to go and get one of these. Can I? I'll be right back.
You go for it.
There you go, folks. I'll be right back in a second.
Anybody just joining us now, we have Cory Sloan from Ireland joining us. Hi, Liz Pix. Hi, Universal Discourse. Hi, Simon. You're joining us. And Double MF, thank you guys so much for joining us today. And we are talking with Cory. Oh, hey, Phoebe. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it very much. Cory just went to go and grab another bummer, and he'll be right back with us. Just taking a wee break real quick. How is everybody doing today? Oh, and by the way, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you are on Twitch and you're watching, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I do coffee and conversation once a week, typically on a Tuesday, and then I do it once a month on a Saturday for all of our friends that are across the pond. And actually, Phoebe, he's not tardy. He actually just left to go grab another drink, because we went through the first one. So, but yeah. And butcher the Irish linguist while using my rum glass with Plumley cider. Yes. This is fun. This is a fun one. I appreciate you all joining us today. It has been a lot of fun. And then we actually have Phoebe joining us on Twitch. She is she's from the UK. She's from England. And she saw that you were gone, and it was really actually kind of funny, because she said, how did she put it? Where did it go?
Chin chin.
I don't know where it went. Oh, bloody Irish tardiness.
Bloody Irish fucking tardiness. Because I went somewhere else. For fuck's sake.
She said the tardiness Irishman is back.
The tardy Irishman is back, not tardiness.
Trendiness. Sorry.
Oh,
trendiness.
Trendiness.
I don't mind me. Universal Discourse says black and tantrums commence.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that Simon idea. Black and tantrums. I like that. I'm gonna.
No, you're gonna have to explain that to me, because I'm not as well versed in all of this.
My hat on straight here. Look, hang on a second. This
You're
fucking camera. The camera's like this, you know.
Right.
Black and tans were the auxiliary forces sent in by Churchill after World War I to calm the Irish situation, and they were basically ex-soldiers from the trenches, the English army. The kind of after World War I, a glut of the army soldiers needed a job. Why not send them to Ireland to calm the situation down in the early part of the War of Independence from 1919 to 21? And they were very bad. They were called black and tans because of their uniform, black and khaki.
Gotcha.
And they were vicious fucking thugs. And
oh, wow.
So bloody Irish-English relations. Yeah, well, the adjective is right. Bloody is the word, you know. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's good to. Yeah, hey, Phoebe, don't worry about it. It's all good now. Yeah. What can I say? But that's what the word. That's what it means.
Gotcha.
But it's amazing. They still have a reputation in Ireland. I mean, you mention anyone around, you say black and tans, everybody knows, And I used to, in archaeology, actually, down in South Kildare here, I knew a guy who was an American living over here. He married an Irish girl.
Right.
And in his father-in-law's pub, they had at the door, and the door still, right? The door had an iron part, like half the door was iron and the other half was glass. And the iron was there from the black and tans, where the black and tans used to come at night and kick the door in. And his great grandfather basically put the iron in there so they couldn't kick the door in so easily. Yeah.
Wow.
They had a very, very bad reputation, man, the black and tans. They were really
Phoebe was saying in 1916 Easter Rising was a bloody, bloody day. 1916.
It was a bloody week. Yeah, Easter week.
Really?
1916. Yeah, it was strange. It was the glorious failure. Pádraig Pearse and the boys went up to the GPO, the General Post Office in Dublin, and they basically tried to initiate a revolution. At the time of 1916, wow. World War I was in progress and everything else, and it was a glorious failure. They actually knew. Pearse made a speech in which he said the red wine of the battlefields, the blood would be shed. And at the time, if you go to Dublin and you stand at the GPO in Dublin, the General Post Office, you can still see the bullet holes in the facade in the front of the building. And basically at the end, you had about 250 rebels, and you had over 2,000 British troops. Firing at they brought a gunboat up and everything else. But that idea, Pearse wasn't wrong, because when they killed the leaders of the rebellion, it initiated Irish independence. Really, it was the beginning really of Irish independence, and it was a glorious failure. It's a nice thing to talk about. But the thing that really bugs me is that the majority of the people in Ireland didn't support this rebellion,
Really?
They thought it was a pain in the ass, so they didn't support it in any kind of way. It was only when the leaders were shot that public opinion really went against the British then, and that's really when the War of Independence came out. Or not, it didn't start then, but it started later on.
Right.
Yeah, my friend, actually, the singer in my band, the old singer, my old band, he's the manager of the jail now in Dublin, Kilmainham Jail. And
really?
And that's the jail the English had. That's where they all got shot. On the part of the tour, you walk into the jail, they bring you out to the Stonebreakers yard where they shot all the leaders of the rebellion.
Wow.
Yeah, great man.
Oh.
But it's something else. It's something else when you can stand at a GPO and put your hand in the bullet holes and history kind of coming alive. But it definitely
is amazing.
Had a lasting effect. Yeah. But look, as well. Yeah. I have a band. I like heavy metal and hard rock. So this podcast is
sponsored
by Megadeth.
There we go. There you go.
So it's kind of I play heavy metal and hard rock, and I like that kind of stuff. So
yeah. Phoebe was also saying that her and her partner are going to find going to the GPO, but they're going to Dublin next month, and she's going to visit the 1916 memorials.
Phoebe, if you want, Phoebe, get in touch. I'll meet you in Dublin, and I'll give you and your partner a walking tour of Dublin. I'll show you around. Oh, sweet. Okay, yeah, sweet. Well, then we'll get on.
Will get along great.
Then we're going to get on, Phoebe. Yes, seriously. You can take my details from Acacia and get in touch. I'll give you a walking tour of Dublin if you like. I'll show you all the spots, and I'll bring you around, and I'll show you some good rock bars, of course.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
You cannot go to Dublin and not go to the good pubs.
Absolutely.
And yes, Phoebe, I will definitely connect you. Remind me, Phoebe, shoot me a message on Discord. And for all of you guys watching, if you like this content, please like and subscribe. And feel free to join my Discord. We do coffee and a conversation, like I was saying earlier, once a week, typically on a Tuesday night, but then once a month for any of my friends that are across the pond. And we talk about literally everything, because I think we have literally talked about history. We've talked about music. We've talked about we've covered a lot of things in this one, which is amazing.
I think it's great. We should do it again.
Oh, we are definitely going to do it again. Definitely going to do it
What
again.
do you think, folks? Would you like to hear
yeah.
some more of this?
And who knows? Like, I definitely want to have Madsy on, but with you, we'll get a bunch of y'all together from across the pond, and we'll just sit and have a great old time.
I think so.
Phoebe can join us next time too.
Yeah, that would be cool. That
yes,
would be cool.
Phoebe, we are definitely going on full British. So, I'm hoping. Cross your fingers, Phoebe, if you're able to. She will be my next guest on Coffee and a Conversation.
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Why not?
But we'll definitely, hopefully maybe October. She said back to pre-1928 UK. I'm clueless. I'm sorry. I'm so lost right now, Phoebe. Oh, she says she's now mega trolling you. See, it's all in good fun. That's what I love about it.
Of course it is.
What I
but
love
that's
about
what it's about. That's really what it's about. You know what I mean? And I'm always amazed. At synchronicity and how people kind of connect and everything else. And I like, as I said, I love this, man. I'm not used to doing this. Normally it's interviews with the band, and it's like, okay, we give interviews, and yeah. But when I'm doing this kind of stuff, it's like, wow, I get to be me. And
that's exactly it. And that's why I like Coffee and a Conversation, is because you just get to be you. Like, if there's anything that we need in this world more than anything, it's people just being able to be people. Like, different parts of the world. You've got an English person and an Englishman and an Irishman who their country's history isn't the best, but yet they can get along, and they completely can joke around and have fun, and it's amazing. Like, I think we spend way too much time nowadays and just bitching and arguing over nothing, and it's not worth it. So oh, here we go.
Okay, all right, I will. Yeah,
you're the nice Irishman now.
Yeah, I'm nice. I'm going up in the world. Moving on
up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I certainly will, Phoebe. You have to give me the name of your band or what you've done before, so I can check you out, or tell Acacia, or wherever that is, tell Acacia, and I'll figure it out. But definitely, yeah, we should hook up in Dublin, and so I'll sort you guys out, and we can have a chat and further.
Yeah, she says she's not in a band anymore, and that she has potatoes for you if you like.
How very English.
For another one again.
How very English. The English brought potatoes back from the New World, so they introduced them to Ireland. So it's very
really?
English to offer me potatoes.
I did not know that. See, I'm thinking, potatoes came from Ireland. Let you know how much I really know about history.
Came from the New World, man. Francis Drake used to.
That's crazy.
They used to fucking smoke potatoes when they got them first. Fucking smoke potatoes. Yeah. Fucking fancy smoking. Why would you how could you smoke potatoes? How would you do that? Like, I don't even know how you do
universal. If potatoes are indigenous, do you know how you smoke a potato?
I don't know.
Because evidently there are more than 3,800 different types of potatoes in Peru.
Yeah, that doesn't fucking surprise me, man. Yeah, that's where they're from. So I don't even know how you'd smoke a fucking. I don't even know, man. I really bad job with potatoes, man. Oh, please don't say it. You could say it to me in person.
Right.
We'll have a private laugh.
Oh, so Universal Discourse was saying you hang them on a rack in a smokehouse with the salmon.
Okay. All right.
I guess that would be how you would smoke them. That good point. But what would be I never would know what the point of, like, I mean, I guess you get the smoky taste with the potato. Okay, I'm putting way too much thought into this. Way too much thought.
I don't even know fucking how you do. I didn't even know, man. I don't know. But it was because of that. Yeah, it was because it was so easy to grow that they introduced it to Ireland, and it became the staple diet of the Irish. So bread was kind of hard to get, because especially in the West where it rains so much, you couldn't The skin is used to wrap the bag. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. Oh, is that how you do it, Phoebe? So you wrap the potato skin and you smoke it that way, right? I never knew that.
So I never knew. And she would say Universal Discourse said the potato skin is thin, so you can use it to wrap things. So that would make sense why you would smoke it then.
Yeah.
I never
would have thought can you that. Imagine? Can you imagine smoking like, okay, whatever, but like raw tobacco, fucking smoking like a fucking potato skin? I mean, is that like the ultimate thing that, like, you know, if you get the munchies when you're smoking, you just break off a bit of your fucking blunt and just eat it? I don't fucking know. I'm like, yeah, okay. You're eating it.
Oh, and Madzi just showed up again, and evidently Madzi is drunk. Hey, okay. Madzi, you need to join in then, because, you know, it's even better. Okay, you're both drinking, so it's great.
Absolutely.
Simon says he's got your back.
Thanks, Simon. Fucking right. I like Simon's cross there is really. Simon has the Bridget's cross, man. This is what's it called? Near Moon. Yeah, that's actually just down in South Kildare. Yeah. Is Moon's in, is it, yeah, just outside of Castledermot, yeah. That was set up. The Quakers were primarily in the 1700s, weren't they? And they were one of the ones to have like the workhouses and everything else. They kind of ran them, you know. The Quakers were bigger in the what does an Englishman do to live life on the edge? Oh Jesus, here we go. Here we fucking go. Go on, tell me, Phoebe. Go on.
I have no clue, but obviously you do, so it's funny. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Nice one, Phoebe. Nice one.
Simon asked, should we talk about Bridget?
Yeah, well, that's where the cross is from. Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that's what the cross is from. It's a hexen cross, isn't it? You know, it's the old symbol of the sun. You know, when we were kids in school, we used to learn how to make them. Simon, are you from Kildare, Simon? Like, you're born and bred here, are you? So we used to know how to make those crosses. The legend of Bridget was that, yeah, she made the cross on her father's death. He was one of the kings of Kildare. Kildare means the oak church. Oh, sweet, Simon. Yeah, so you know the story then, yeah? You can still go to the church in Kildare, you know? Now I know it's an Anglican church now, but that was on the site of the old church. Apparently, that's, you know, where they had the seminary. So one half was women, one half was men. And they had the dividing wall between them, you know, St. Patrick and everything else kind of coming through. I don't know how much that is true about Bridget, right. But well, that's the Christian story. The kind of pagan story is a bit different, you know. Pagan, another Greek word, right? Pagan, paganos.
Right.
Paganos just means country person. Paganos,
really?
Yeah, because cities were vectors for change. So all learning was in the cities. And those who had traditions, traheo, another Latin word, right? Tradare, traheo means to pass on. And the idea of tradition was that what you did, you literally passed it on to your son. And this was like pass on to this word the idea of tradition comes from. But paganos in Greek, meaning country person, it basically meant that there was a bias between those who live in the village and those who live in the city. And the city people were the ones who were open to change, were open to knowledge, were open to I suppose, the continuous form. They were learning every day. Whereas in the countryside, they kind of stuck to their traditions, those things that were carried on. And they were, I suppose, there was a big bias between city living people and village people. And those village people were called paganos or pagans, especially when Christianity took over. The idea was that in the cities, we were Christian, but in the countryside, you were still pagan. You worshiped the old gods.
Right.
This is why people were called pagan. It was a derogatory term, especially.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did realize that. Let's see.
There you go.
Phoebe says, I have tea and bolognese to troll the title of the show. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You know what, Phoebe, right? Oh, yeah. Absolutely, Simon. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. If you listen
And
to
then
what I said.
Universal Discourse goes, the village people are pagans. Oh no.
Yeah. Well, literally, the village people are the original pagans. Yes, you know. But I can't imagine, you know, YMCA, you know, going
Right.
you know. But absolutely, Simon. If you listen to what I said about Christians earlier on, there you go, like that. And Phoebe, I used to work with a guy who was from Longford, up in the kind of northwest, and he he had a really interesting pronunciation, and he would say spaghetti bolognese. Fucking bolognese. Who the fuck's that? Bolognese. Yeah, and he
There
would
isn't
say
even a
there's
K
not
in
even bolognese. He'd say, jez, I'll have no
Bollock.
spaghetti bolognese. And he'd say things like lasagna was like lasagne. Lasagne. I'll have some lasagne. And dinner wasn't dinner until you had the spuds. Dinner wasn't dinner until you had the potatoes. You go
right.
Seriously, you go to his house, he'd put curry, you know, for dinner. He'd have the rice there, and then up would come the potatoes, the spuds, you know, bang.
Right.
That was your fucking potatoes, man. Dude, he was a great guy. He runs his own brewery now.
And evidently,
yeah.
Mazzy says I'm supposed to ask you what naked spaghetti is.
I haven't got a fucking clue what naked spaghetti is. I'm sorry, Mazzy, you're going to have to enlighten me.
Yeah, no clue.
Yeah, spuds. Yeah, spuds is the old word for potatoes. The common word for potatoes.
And Phoebe says no to naked spaghetti. So Phoebe, what is naked spaghetti then? Because Cory doesn't know what it is.
I haven't got a clue what it means. You'll have to tell me.
Spuds and roasties.
Yeah, well,
Mazzy says it's a good time.
Oh, so, Mazzy, you were the same fucking guy who said a Paddy was having a fucking temper tantrum.
Yes.
So Paddy, sorry, Mazzy, we have to speak, man, because, you know, I teach the English language. So we have to speak, man, because evidently I'm teaching the wrong fucking language, because I don't know what Paddy means, a temper tantrum, or as Simon, my friend Simon had a great one. He said it's called a blackened tantrum.
A blackened tantrum?
That actually makes a lot of sense as well, you know. That makes a lot of sense as well.
Okay, Mazzy said it's a northern thing. Paddy is a northern thing?
Well, I'll have to ask my friends in the north. I'm going to have to fucking ask them. I'm going to have to go, do you know what a naked spaghetti is?
And then,
although I'd like to hear what.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely universal. Yeah, I'd love that, man. I'd love that. I really, really would. I love the history of words. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt, man.
I'll hook you up too.
I can't imagine what would that be like. What would that be like? It'd be like in Belfast. So I'm having what was it? Naked spaghetti?
Naked spaghetti.
I'm having a naked spaghetti, hey? Naked spaghetti. Is it polite talking about the prior announcer? I don't know, like naked spaghetti, hey? I don't know what naked spaghetti means.
I don't either, and I think Mazzy is a little too far gone to explain what it is.
I'm here talking to my friends, and we're here talking about this language thing, and they're going naked spaghetti and Paddy being an angry man. We'll have suds, spuds, spaghetti, and the word. Yeah, that sounds perfect to me, man. That sounds great. Word roots for garnish, absolutely. What was the thing they used to say years ago? Heavy on the miracle, Harry.
What? Say that again.
Do you remember that from years ago when they had this special mayonnaise and the ad? Like in Ireland, we never had. Like, man, America was far away. You know, nobody ever went to America and came home. At least when I was a kid. But we had this one ad on television, and it was from America, and it was in a New York deli, and the guys were all lining up, and they all would go in to get sandwiches. You know,
right.
So yeah, I'm going to ask you a question about that now in a minute as well, right?
Okay.
And so we're just all we had was 2 channels in Ireland then. Simon will agree with this, you know, and all we had, and one of the ads on television was for this miracle whip. It was called Miracle Whip. It was sweet mayonnaise, and it was, and you saw these guys go in and say, "Heavy on the miracle, Harry," And they used to put
Miracle Whip. Yep, that's what it is.
Miracle Whip, right?
Yep.
And it was fucking vile. It was fucking. It was like that shit they used to sell us in the 80s called salad cream. Jesus Christ!
And it's not mayonnaise. There is a difference between Miracle Whip and mayonnaise.
Yeah,
I will tell you that. And
yeah.
Liz Pixie just said, and it's not mayonnaise, and that is true.
Yeah,
She
that's
said
right.
Sweet
Yeah, that's
tangy
right.
zip or Miracle Whip.
Fucking
and
hell. I never liked that stuff.
Where is it?
Heavy on the miracle, Harry.
Phoebe said it's going to be a weird time when my partner and I meet Cory, a Brit, an American, and an Irishman.
Man, that's like a good time on a Friday night. I tell you what.
She said you had less channels than the UK, you strange Irish, and we only had 3 to 4 channels.
Yeah, I know. I remember I grew up watching fucking BBC One and BBC Two and UTV, Ulster Television. But I remember before Channel 4. Remember Channel 4? Invented in, when was that? 82, I think.
See, now you're showing your age.
I fucking know, man. I'm trying to fucking dye these beard. I'm shaving more and more. I used to have a big beard. I'm shaving more and more because I'm desperate for fucking grey. Jesus.
Oh, wow.
So a Dubliner, a Yank, and a wanker. I love it. Who's the wanker? That's what I want to know. you know. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Channel 4. Yeah, that's right. Bravo. Yeah, bravo. Fucking yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I remember watching Countdown. Do you remember watching Countdown when they'd have the fucking Countdown Conundrum? It was this game show they had on Channel 4, and it was a really intelligent game show. And the ironic thing is, okay, on the wankers, right? Brilliant. They had this game show called Countdown, and it was like you had to fucking make words out of letters. It was a pain in the arse, to be honest with you.
Oh.
And you had to solve like mathematical. They come up with a number, and you have to make an equation to solve the number and all that shit.
Right.
And it was a real fucking, man, like it was a mind fuck of a game show. Normally a game show, Yeah, exactly. The Countdown Conundrum. Remember, it was like 30 seconds, Did it. And he used to fucking.
Wait. We got to do that again. Oh, how did it go again?
It went, did it. Ow.
Awesome.
And it was like, countdown of 15 to 1. Remember 15 to 1? Yeah, 15 to 1, man. Was 15 to 1 with Anne Robinson? Was she the one in President? Was that 15? Oh no, 15 to 1 was the old guy with the glasses. Yeah. What was the one with Anne Robinson? What?
She said William G. Stewart.
William G. Stewart, yeah, the guy with the glasses, yeah. What was the one with Anne Robinson called? And this was the first game show where they had all these contestants, and the host insulted them. She insulted these guys that were on the game show, and she'd say things like, "Oh dear, John." What?
She said the weakest link was nasty.
The weakest link. That was it. The weakest link.
And she was like, you are the weakest link. Yeah. I liked the British version versus the American version so much better.
She would say things like, "Oh dear, John, who is the cherry on your stupid cake?"
So mean.
It's me, Anne. Yeah. You're not very intelligent, John, are you? Yeah, fuck off. yeah, their commissar. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. And she was, though, wasn't she? She was kind of very bananas.
Oh, yes. Liz Pixie, you just said the magic words, Doctor Who, right there. And yes, there was a Doctor Who parody of that show, and it was perfect. It was awesome.
Was there? See,
there was an episode, I want to say it was maybe the 3rd episode in the new Doctor Who that came out, I think, early 2000s. And it was the weakest link. I'll find the episode and I'll send it to you and show it to you. I don't know. Have you ever seen Doctor Who? I think that was when you were saying that's when you never really got into, right?
No, I'm an old Doctor Who. So
the old
again,
one?
Yeah, man. My doctor was Tom Baker was my doctor.
I have the scarf.
Yeah.
I literally have the scarf.
Do you remember K9? Remember any of you guys remember K9?
I like K9.
Let's dress. I always liked the Daleks. Remember the Daleks, guys?
Oh, the Daleks are the best.
The Daleks were superior beings, Skaro. Remember, they lived in Skaro,
Yeah.
and they were superior beings, but they could never fucking figure out the stairs. You fucker. Davros was so smart, but he couldn't figure out the stairs. But then I love the fact when that. Oh, look at that! Look at you.
And then I've got my scarf hanging around here somewhere. I don't know where it's at. Next time that you come on, I will bring out my Tom Baker scarf.
Please
like
do.
Literally, I'm a fanatic.
Do.
I'm a fanatic.
No, I like Doctor Who. Yeah, I remember Tom Baker, and then Peter Davidson was after Tom Baker. Wasn't it? Peter Davidson. Tom Baker got electrocuted. Remember, he got electrocuted on the pylon. He fell off.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excuse me. And then he got regenerated into Peter Davidson, the guy with the blonde hair, who had the cricket uniform.
Yep.
The cricket uniform.
Yep.
I didn't like Colin Baker so much, the doctor after him. And Sylvester McCoy was the arse end of it. And I to be honest with you, I'd never watched any episodes of the new one, so you know. But I like
thing is that like I started watching Doctor Who from the new ones, and the new ones that the first episode of the new ones that I saw wasn't even like the beginning of the series. It was the Weeping Angels, and those by far are the creepiest and my favorite. Like I like all the old ones and everything. I'll have to. Essentially, all statues are aliens, and if they can move, if they're not being looked at, and they will either kill you or send you back in time and slowly kill you because they use your energy. But anyway, don't blink. Yes, that was the episode that I saw. I will send you a link to it. It is epic. I am a huge Doctor Who fan. We won't even. I'll just have to do one of these episodes strictly on all Doctor Who.
I loved the movies from the 60s with Peter Cushing. I loved Dalek's Invasion of the Earth. Was that actually 2145 or was it?
I don't remember because
I love those movies, man. But I love the way I like the Cybermen. They
yes, those things have. You're gonna have to watch a couple of the episodes, but those
are the Cybermen in the new episode? Are they? Yeah.
They are. The
dialects.
Like the
Master.
Yes, the Master is in the new one too.
Cool.
It's like you won't see them for a couple of episodes, and then all of a sudden the Daleks. He thought he defeated the Daleks, and then they come back, and then. The Weeping Angels, you don't see them for a while, and then all of a sudden they come back in one episode, and
the Daleks,
it's so cool. And then the Cybermen, those things are creepy because they continue to get better and they continue to evolve, I guess you could say, and get more smart and whatnot. But But yeah, I love it. Oh,
I like the Daleks. They were always my favorite enemy. And I like them because they're so shit. But I can't imagine, the Daleks. Whenever Dalek's going to die, he kind of goes, "Help me, help me, help me." You're like, "Fuck off, Dalek! You're going to kill me."
Like you don't show any mercy. Why should we show?
Yeah. Help me, fuck you. Okay. Eat shit, and they're just gonna talk like that. It's like, great, man. My mate, jelly babies. I don't know what is that. What Daleks are? I don't know. Jelly babies.
We'll find out. Phoebe, what are jelly babies? There we go. Yeah, I could.
I like Dalek is just what they are, though, isn't it? Aren't they Khalids backwards?
Is that what's going on right now? Universal Discourse. Oh, jelly babies is an old Doctor Who reference. I'll have to go back and look it up.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
I couldn't remember.
My apologies.
And oh man, that kind of puts a damper on everything. Are you following what's going on in Afghanistan by any chance, Cory?
I am. Yeah, I'm. Yeah. The Taliban side things. The
Taliban are inside.
Are they in? Are they in Kabul? Are they? Yeah.
It looks that way. We were talking last night about that.
It's amazing how fast it went to shit, isn't it? After 20. Well, yeah.
20 some years. Yeah. I mean, it's really, really, really sad.
It's
I was watching a thing the other night that essentially it's like, hey, we're going to let a couple of these things fall and hope that the international community steps in. Well, the international community didn't do what they thought it would do, and
yeah, it's a bad turn of events. But
it's sad. It's sad for a lot of people. Yeah, universal discourse is a vet, and I have several friends that are U.S. veterans, and so for them, this is a really, really tough blow.
Yeah, I was thinking about that today, actually, because I was reading somewhere a report. It was in the newspaper where basically the guy was saying that, and the reporter who was writing it was saying, yeah, like all the lives that were wasted basically over there.
Phoebe's actually a British vet also, and I totally forgot. Yeah. Sorry, Phoebe. Yeah, she said, as a British vet, I feel really sick.
Yeah.
It's hard.
A failure. It's a complete failure, really, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
But then, and I'm not, but what was the point? What was the point of going in there again? What was the point of going into Afghanistan again?
Correct me if I'm wrong, universal discourse, but didn't 9/11 kind of spark that, Bin Laden?
So the
hey, Wally, welcome for joining. We're actually starting to wrap things up just a little bit, but only because I would go on for forever and a day.
I think we should fucking go on.
Oh, Bin Laden was in 1986 and on. Okay. Yeah, I would, but unfortunately, I have a meeting at 6:30, so I can't. But I have a meeting. I know, but look, see that just means we have to. It has to be a to be continued.
We have to do it, guys. Look if you weren't over there, you're welcome to my house, man.
See, there we go.
Let's do it, man. I got some cold ciders. I have some wine as well. I got some kick-ass mead as well if you want to go down the medieval thing. And I even have drinking horns, guys. I got fucking drinking horns. We can go.
You have drinking horns? That is epic.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
See, when me and my boyfriend decide we're going to come over to Dublin, we'll definitely have to do that. Yeah, Liz Pixie says she needs a drink.
Yeah, I think everyone does. Get this.
Right?
Get this. There you are. This thing is, yeah. No worries. I'll meet you in Dublin, Phoebe. I'll meet you in Dublin. Give Acacia the details and get in touch.
Absolutely.
Be my pleasure. And, well.
Yeah, 9/11 was the torch paper for Afghan invasion. That's
right. But then it was also to, like, what was the point? Why didn't they just eradicate the Taliban then? Yeah, I will. Yeah,
absolutely. I can give you a link to go over and carry on the conversation with Universal Discourse. Super, super cool, which you guys talked the last time. But because she's co-streaming this today so that, can carry the conversation over to her channel. Unfortunately, I do have to go. But I thank you all for joining me and for joining Cory. And we are definitely going to continue this another night because there is just so much more. Like you can't put all of history and philosophy and social and just everything. You can't put life into one conversation. Just can't do it.
But the glory of it. But the glory is we get to do it all again soon, I hope.
And here we go. So yeah, anybody that is wanting to continue this conversation, head on over to Universal Discourse, and I will actually raid Universal Discourse. I will give me 1 second, and I will do that, guys. And Cory, I thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you. If you would mind just holding on just for 1 minute, and then after I end the broadcast, I will resume, and I'll talk with you again just for 1 moment.
No worries.
So thank you so much, Cory. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I am going to raid on over to Universal Discourse. Give me 1 moment and I will be right there. And I will raid you guys over. right, I'm back. So, oh, Simon Kenny had said that he might bump into you someday. So
yeah, well, he lives just up the road, so
right, that's crazy.
Know? So yeah, it's weird. I know exactly where he lives. You know, he just lives about 10 minutes in the car from here. So
oh wow,
you know,
that is so cool.
Well, that was cool. That was enjoyable, man.
See,
yeah.
So
yeah,
that's what a live stream is, and that's what a live stream is when you get